So we come to the what you would call the primary reason, the primary discussion, the primary sharing, that projection, where we are now from the I that is beyond consciousness is always been always, meaning I beyond consciousness through the veil, the act, the whole encompassing consciousness creates infinite possibilities to what it perceives, what it experiences, and from this it creates more acts through words and identities, enjoyment, love, anger, laughter, relationships, matter, space, and of course time. So space and time itself is not real. It's just another ongoing belief, which now has become an ongoing need. Can't live without time. The idea of living with time or without time is simply a dream. Here and now, I is appearing as whatever this mind wants to make of it. And it's appearing through the grounding or the whole encompassing pure tranquil consciousness, a mirror of nothingness, where from it universes of fullness, encapsulated with nothingness. You see, the planet cannot exist without the space around it. The body cannot exist without the space around it. So consciousness is a two-way deal in what it allows the mind to create within itself. So what is the point of this, you see? What is the point of knowing this? Well, the point of knowing this is that everything that we experience is just a passing experience. It cannot be maintained as a beginning or an end. It cannot be maintained as, for example, if the body dies, that word die is a word that I sees, tastes, or experiences beyond the projected true original one that one is. It's not a permanent. You see, death itself, whatever it is, does not exist as a permanent state of mind. No human mind, no mind is permanent. You don't maintain the thought, I am hungry, from the minute you're born into space and time for 80 years without thinking about something else, without this thought fading away, you see, just transcending into another thought. I mean, what's the point? What's the point of creating ourselves as living beings if we don't experience an ongoing, moving, sensational experience? So time and space and all that the mind shares, replicates, believes, attaches to, associates with, holds on. The story, the CV, the beginning and end me, the person. It's just stuff. And when you sit in the here and now, in this moment, in this present moment, in this one moment, you know, I made a video. I made a lot of videos, but there's one that really stands out. And it's the one that receives the fewest understanding, or the fewest response. No comments, no likes, no dislikes, just because the mind cannot cope. The ego cannot cope with what the speaker is saying. It feels queasy, you see. And this queasiness is the end of samsara. When you vomit, you know, not physically. When your brain ceases to take on board the mind's capacity to think about an end, fear. Everything has to end, but it's not an end, it's a transcendence. You see, fear itself, you say, the enlightened one says, there's no fear when you understand that there's no death, when there's no end. But that appears to be an end. Yeah? I have no fear. Well, that's also going to transcend. It may transcend into fear again. It may transcend into some sort of, you know, further state of mind that you've never experienced. Like beyondness. I also made another video about beyondness. No views. far too out of mind. We're going to advertise that first video, One Moment in Consciousness into the Pot of Love. It's about the mind. All minds that have experienced this in the past, they've translated it in their own ways. You know. We're all a self, we're all emptiness, we're all a pot of love. We're popping our heads out, just looking and seeing through the world of consciousness, through the act of consciousness, and we see many things about ourselves. But we think, the mind says no. Take on board this little simple vessel, this body, and you will become more intimate, more closer with what you see. As if you are actually experiencing it, as if you are actually that what you perceive. And the act of awakening is to deny the little vessel and say, you know what, I want to look from the pot of love, or from the self, or from emptiness, or from consciousness, and beyond this I. Meditation on I, you see. The mind says that's a meditation about me. That's a meditation about my head, my body, my person, my life, my story, my presence, my future. No. Meditation on I means all is I, you see. But you cannot meditate on I in an individual component way. So you don't say I is meditating on the tree. No, only I. Only I. consciousness and I, they become one. And then there appears to be no more I. Just a veil of this immense, mysterious, loving, you can call it beauty, paradisial, heavenly. You're back in the pot of love, still looking through a vessel that you know is serving a purpose. But when it serves no more purpose, back into the pot, until another vessel is made up for your journey into this mind, into this infinite possibility life created by consciousness. Religion, science, all these states of mind, they all come into it. And you can enjoy them, or you can hate them, or you can be with them, or you can, force your way out of the pot of love and into a pot of intelligence, a pot of dilemmas, a pot of chaos. But when the body again pops, back into the pot of love. This is God. Not a religious God. A God far beyond religion, far beyond science. This God is I. You don't have to discover it. You just have to look inward. Put your head back into the pot and stop looking at this beauty, this heavenly paradise, and realize, looking back into the pot is the true heavenly paradise. And when you pop your head back out again, you see this is just a makeshift shadow, a beautiful, enlightening, incredible shadow. So can you imagine when you look outside and see the beauty of the sunlight and nature and the colors, and inside it's much more profound, much more real. So now that you've found something that really interests you, yourself, before we look at this self-interest, we have to tread carefully, be very precautious. You see, because the ego replicates everything. So the ego, in its replication, will say, "Yeah, I know what I'm interested in about me. It's my story. It's what I've made. It's what I've got. It's what I've done. It's what I'm going to do. It's where I'm going to be. It's who I am. I am this incredible force, or this minuscule nothingness." The ego doesn't always stoop for higher levels. It can stoop to the lowest level. So what you're interested in is not what the mind says you're interested in. So what else is taking place? Because it's only the mind that is appearing here. It is only the mind that is vocalizing, making something out of something, giving identity to the senses and what the senses are experiencing from. I am sensing from the flower, the rose. I am sensing this particular type of smell. That's ego. It's all learned, programmed, conditioned, inherited stuff. So, to be truly interested in yourself, to be absolutely spot on interest, attention only on myself, it cannot involve what the mind makes of the dog barking in the background. Is it a dog barking or is it just a sound? You see, that's the ego saying, okay, let's identify with the noise. Let's identify with the sound. So what can be interested in self? But before you discover that, you have to realize that what is ego self-interest. Whatever this speaker experienced is failing itself by discussing anything, by verbalizing anything, by sharing anything. But it's like we have to share to put people off. And we have to share to entice people in. Who is the people, you see? Who are the people that are separate from you, that are not the same as you? How come I am the only one that experiences this flavor from this type of herb, and others say it has different flavors? How come they are saying the different things from me? How come they're doing the different things from me? You see, the interest is always in me, always in I. That's why you have to admit. The mind has to admit, the ego has to admit, the self has to admit, the soul has to admit, the spirit has to admit, whatever it is you believe you are has to admit that everything revolves around me, or within me, or outside of me. And then you have to deny that me exists. To deny me exists means you deny every single word. You go onto YouTube now, any social media site, any device that can actually record your voice, record your images, record your smell. It's a tactile device, you know. It allows you, the mind, to hear specific things about what's going on. All of these are divisive, you see. Devices are divisive to keep you from to understanding the truth about your whole genuine self. So we do it, but we don't do it through a need to, if I'm not going to experience whoever I am and whatever I am and all that stuff, if I'm not going to experience awakening, I'm not going to allow anyone else to do that. So I'm going to make devices and do anything, act as the puppet, look at me, to stop anyone else experiencing it. That's not true. We're all ignorant. You see, the ego mind is the most ignorant mind. When it says I want to save the world, it's ignorance. It's impossible. The world, meaning the planet or the universe or whatever your interpretation of the world is, it's impossible. So why make that statement, you see? The world is going to end. It's impossible. Who's going to make that statement? Who's going to see it? Who's going to remember it? Who's going to understand it? I am a man. Who's making this statement? What is it? What makes a statement about a world and identity? See, so all of this, one of the things that the speaker tries to what's the word? Feel good about itself is by saying, whenever you read anything, whenever you listen to anything that this speaker says, whenever you see anything, don't go back and look at it again. Just let it go. The minute you hang on to anything external, You're going to hang on to another thread. You see, that's a new thing now, threads. they're not hanging on so much to the jumper, you know. They're not hanging on to the wool. Let's hang on to the threads that keeps the wool and the jumper as one. Everything is divided into breaking things up so that it's impossible to put the jigsaw puzzle back together again. Multiplication. Multiplication. What is multiplication? It means to get more. Correct me if I'm wrong, but to multiply means to get a bigger or more attractive figure. And what about division? Same thing. You're taking one item and dividing it up. You see? In the delicatessen you go in, there's a beautiful big cake. Yeah. It came from a multiple of ingredients. It's beautiful, it's full of cream. It's a meter in diameter. It's multiplied all these ingredients into making this whole wonderful cake. And the shopkeeper says, well, no one's going to buy this cake. You know, they'll be sick of this. You know, they'll be vomiting. It's unable. You know, so what I'll do is I'll cut it up. I'll divide it up into pieces, and I'll sell each piece. But I'll still call it cake because it cannot not be the cake. It's still a combination of multiple ingredients. And you to add is more. So division is more, multiplication is more, adding is more. So what about subtracting? No, that can't be it more. Come on, speaker. As a mental game, as a mental theory, as a mathematical theory, multiplication, division, adding and subtraction are definitely different meanings. They have different meanings. But they prove nothing, because they all come from the same thing. See, the theorists, the scientists, whatever it is that wants to discover Mars and all that bullshit stuff, they want to discover it from the point of me. I am the discoverer. I want to discover this, so I'm going to take so many things into my mind, multiple things into my mind, to find one thing, God, one thing, consciousness. And then when I find God, I'm going to divide it up again, and I'm going to share it equally on YouTube. And then each one will get a part of this. So to add something, you have to take something away from something to add it to something else. Does that make sense? Practically, physically? I need to add a chair to my dining room table. I only have 7 and I have 8 people coming. So I need to add a chair. I have a spare one in my other dining room. So I'm taking it away from the other dining room to add it into the new dining room for this big meal I'm having. There's nothing taking place, you see, in that respect. It's just a game. Let's multiply, let's divide, let's add, let's subtract. What? But the same thing is, I am the adder, the multiplier, the subtractor, the divider. But I can't divide myself up. Or can I, you see? Can I divide myself up? The biologist says, yeah, okay, let's get a scalpel and divide this body up. It won't be here to experience it, but doesn't matter, let's divide it up. We have to do a post-mortem, we have to look at things, we have to share the living organs, so let's divide it up. Let's take away the organs to give and add to another human being. But we can also divide ourselves up. Who are you? I'm Graham. You're a name. Yes, I have a name, but I'm a body. Oh, just a body. What is speaking? Well, my mind. So I'm Graham with a body and a mind. Okay. Anything else? Well, yeah, soul. Oh, you're a soul as well. Very good, very good. How do you know? Well, I know. I have these experiences, these feelings, these sensations. Okay. All right. Anything else? I'm not sure. What about consciousness? Let me give you some things to divide yourself up. What about consciousness? Yes, of course I'm consciousness. I'm conscious of being the body. I'm conscious of being the mind. I'm conscious of being the soul. I'm conscious of being the name. Anything else you can divide yourself up into? Are you life? Well, all of these things are life, so they're all the same. So now we're adding, and now we're just stabilizing. So let's put all these things together and give yourself one identity without the name, without the body, without the mind. Give yourself one identity. Describe yourself in one word. I'm me. I am alive. No. Me is enough. Me is enough. So now we've subtracted all the names, we've divided the body up, we've added them up to make one, and then we've taken that one, and what are we going to do with the one? What are we going to do with the me? It's a game of just, thinking, a game of thought. I am the game of thought, you see. So what's the point of this? The point is to say, you must stop. Not must. It's up to you, It's your goddamn life. Whatever you are, whatever you think you are, whatever you do, you add, you subtract. You're depressed, you're happy, whatever it is, your state of mind is in this present moment. But the speaker would like you to say, please ignore what the speaker says. You can choose to follow other speakers or follow other things, but the speaker is always speaking from zero. Zero cannot be improved or detracted from. It cannot be multiplied. It cannot be divided. No one talks about zero. Oh God, shite. Shit. Who's interested in zero? Let's go fifth dimension. Come on, you're not with it. You're not contemporary enough, Mr. Speaker. We're moving on to the ninth. We're going to be flying through space. We're going to be in 100,000 years. We're going to be so incredibly intelligent, and we're going to be able to just flick our fingers and make things. We do that now. We do that now, but your mind says no. I have to follow the other ones. I have to do it in their time. I have to do everything the way I was told from my parents. Don't put yourself first, put yourself second. Well, don't put yourself first or second. Just leave yourself. Let yourself be. Let yourself be me. You're me. Religion, everything, anything that you want to find. I'm going to leave you with this one. Anything that you want to find, anything that your mind wants to find, your ego wants to find, anything that is absolutely new, pure, never been discovered before, is within you. Everything. But you won't take the time because you're always on YouTube or whatever it is. And it's not feasible to, well, it is, but not to the mind. It's feasible to be yourself and ignore this whole world, but still participate as if you're just another pawn in the game of chess. The answer is within your chest. The answer is within your body. The answer is within the body within the body, the body within the body within the body, the body within the body within the body, the I. The science of God and existence. God, Atman, Brahman, consciousness, absolute, or whatever name we give this source, is simply a boundless, beyond all cosmos and space existing time and timelessness, as that infinite celestial gem, that mirror-like star that bestows us all. And within this optical diamond of infinite mirror planes lies the light of its own consciousness. Universal life, as we know it. God gave birth to itself through a desire of living. God is of no sex, but is of both sexes as one. When God took life through a sexual act of desire, its own instant, intimate moment with itself, there was a no time, no timelessness moment, where the meeting not only created the act, but an outcome, where a space between its desire and the act gave ultimate and infinite life to its whole self. We, as whatever we are, became the result of the moment the two connected. The overspilling space as the abyss is the self. A state of being. We are the life between birth and death, the life between this and that, the life between body and spirit. We are the single, nameless result of the one moment. The space between the light switch being neither on nor off. The moment between when neither asleep nor awake is our true state of being. The image on the Sistine Chapel of the space between the two fingers meeting is being truth. This boundless gem holds the quality of being. Countless mirrors, with a single mirror axis that holds God together. This single axis relates to the core of the spine, the penis of God, or in truth, the towering I. This I, in inverted commas, axis, on its own is non-living. So every time we refer to our body as this I, inverted commas, we are experiencing being non-living. Consciousness, the opposite, is a dualistic moving life, and only experienced when a non-relating I is not present, and so being whole, boundless self. Together, this enshrouding soft vaginal consciousness with this towering phallic-like I as one is a spinning experience of interacting, living and dying. The Sufi dancing and the maple circulating with ribbons, in brackets, umbilical cord, Connecting humans as consciousness are two examples of an exact reflection of what is taking place on both sides as one. Similar to the axis on every planet and the human spine, God's I, inverted commas, giving dualistic stability, masculinity, femininity, and upright power, are permanent as non-living stillness. God's consciousness is the feminine, a dualistic, moving, warm, protective substance that always offers sensitivity, love, and connectedness, always changing to suit the quality of life desired by ourself, acting as a representation of this desire to be living as same God. Both of these qualities are held within everything that exists. From atom to cosmos is a simple reflective image of God, designed scientifically through a light that moves, changes, and recreates momentary. Each plane, as one mirror, is one life, with one mind and one story. But each plane is two-way. Our unique plane self is of glass, a two-way shining, translucent, crystal clear, mirror-like substance. Both sides reflecting the same world. But like the mountain on the lake, the mountain itself is of solid form. The mountain appears to have real qualities of being here. The reflection of the mountain is fragile, soft, changing, and has a ghostly side coming and going. On one side, consciousness shines as you, the body, solid and with quality. On the other side, you, the conscious soul or the spirit, soft and ghostly, but both always present when the conscious mind becomes aware of the other side as the same. Through a meditative state where the meditator disappears, this other side is then revealed. What is experienced is a nothingness, an emptiness, a boundless, free, limitless, infinite peace. When meditation ceases, it leaves a rather dampening feeling of I wish I could remain as that. This is the recognition of that singular ego mind, which has been fooling you, and it's time to seek the forgotten truth, to return or to realize I am that I am. So God, that singular flat plane with reflective, boundless planes appearing through this mysterious light, this light creating a matrix of planes that has been lying silent, invisible, dormant, separate, but intertwining when this light is active to create aliveness. Like the power from a generating plant, when the switch is put on to the on side, the power surges up every cable in no particular direction, but with no intent on giving any less power to any singular cable. In fact, beyond the human mind and its states, every plane is in exactly the same place, size, and distance from the generating consciousness. We are layers and layers of negative slides like that microfiche, with none in a particular order. Consciousness has a profound intelligence, programmed or natural way. Either way is shuffling this pack of slides to provide a great show for God. Each being dwells in a particular plane as a flat, inactive, animated strip until this light, through a non-specific nor purposeful travelling light, giving birth to the truth as the unreal, begins. When inactive, this flatline plane of light exists only as part of the whole complete God. But when the light appears on it, one forgets about being whole and ignores this through the excitement of, wow, I am single, alive, and free. This freedom is short-lived when a realization comes in. It does not matter what I want to do or seek in this world of freedom. I never get what I want. This wanting is developed from seeking, needing, competition, preferences, an ego state mind. Consciousness develops its own mind, never disconnected from this will of God. This mind is wisdom. The will of God is to simply be alive, with no purpose, no subsequent desire, other than being grateful of this livingness and being here as that I am. When the one and only thought that arose from God came, this thought, in inverted commas, I want to experience what I am as a living experience. It echoed through every plane of itself, and with this fixed onto every single plane, regardless whether the light of consciousness was on it or not. Every plane, through a constant, repetitive, vibrational, infinitely heard echo, is calling out every moment as this statement. So when consciousness hears each echo, it circles over every new echo to give birth to another echo for the calling mother and father speaking. Everything is two-way, reflective. The child is calling, I want to experience that, what I am as living. Inverted commas, I am being. The original name for all living beings. Therefore, when the parent also call, I want to experience I am living, they are also asking consciousness to enhance their lives with another I am, in inverted commas. This is perfectly clear to the pure mind. It covers a true and is specific to a scientific true way of what takes place. Each planet or star in the universe is another reflection of the ultimate star. All stars interconnected into this celestial gem that projects itself in infinite unique ways through its own moving mind. Consciousness, an illusion of itself, as infinite possibilities of its capabilities. Time. Time is a human invention. Everything that is born through this light is simply twinkling as a single pulse in no time. The mind creates time through a fear of the light diminishing. But the light never diminishes. Only the idea of living diminishes. And sadly, through the mind's fear of dying, creates this elusive death. When the body apparently goes, in brackets, another idea from the mind, instantly the light remains. It remains the same, and whatever leaves the body does not question its past. Past was just a trick of the mind. Instantly, it reappears as I want to experience I am living again. Every time it returns, as whatever consciousness reveals it as, is another chance to live out the life as I am living. A few, like the speaker, have the opportunity to experience death while still with limited yoga-like breath and realize through a revisit to initial birthplace of the purpose of this living, simply to experience it, with no aims, goals, subsequent wants, desires, needs, efforts to improve, disprove, judge, compare, or have preferences, and with absolutely no intent other than to witness oneself living with the flow of a beautiful, profound, and deep, loving consciousness. When consciousness sees one living freely and with no intent other than being, it worships this life and gives it protection, warmth, love, and all the simple requirements to keep it living. Like the woman breastfeeding the child, or the water being drank in the mouth. Each body appears as a particular sex, but consciousness and its mind cannot differentiate between sexes. It only sees life in all living entities as the same. To pure consciousness, it is one light, and therefore it sees one life as being the same light and life in all. When the idea fades, like every other reflective state, similar to the moon's light diminishing on the sea, when it drops beyond the horizon, a simple transition takes place. Every night, consciousness diminishes from the body, leaving only the breath, which is the umbilical cord to all planes through almighty consciousness. So it is never disconnected. Even when death appears to come, the one inside moves with the breath, never leaving that what it is. If dream appears, it is simply consciousness flickering as like the candle. It remains always the same light and shape. But when the wind, brackets mind, is present, it flickers in the direction of the breeze / mind. When the ultimate moon diminishes and is seen by the pure conscious living being, then this one has fulfilled the intent of God, never attaching to life, but being present as it is, with an infallible trust and acceptance that what will be, will be. Instantly, all that was witnessed with no names, colours, desires, special qualities, is placed in front of this plane. One has fulfilled life, with the reward of keeping it for real until all planes have been fulfilled. A single piece of the heavenly jigsaw has been put in place. The spirit of this plane waits patiently, spending every waking moment, meaning no more dualistic sleep, guiding others to their own awakening, to original and only state I want an experience of I am living. I am. This is to recognize myself. God, the original speaker, through every I am, is an echo or a reflective wish of God, taking note of itself. We are collectively God, but our time here is to echo God until God receive the echo back. When God sees this, it appears with much gratitude, but through this gratitude is a type of anger. In God's words, I should not have to spend one moment appearing to remind you the moment I gave one the life of myself, You knew all this, so do not forget ever again, or your jigsaw piece will be to hell. Now go with the only mind of gratitude. For every waking moment, be grateful. No more judgment, no more wanting, desiring, changing what is designed as a moving, already changing, infinite, loving paradise through the consciousness I give it as myself. The source of all life, the whole infinite one God, speaks, I am that I am. Conclusion is this God through its own singular desire gave life to itself, thinking it could actually appear as one whole God, experiencing and doing as we each as singular do. What happened was through his ridiculous desire, due to the scale of himself, God, itself, with no other similar sized being able to be created to share it with. This God mysteriously created a superior minuscule life, where through our wondrous minds are actually physically able to experience and create worlds of merging singular beings, able to be alone or in masses. We each collectively, through an ability to be ultimately all state experiential, hold a piece of a jigsaw that, as one, are able to create the paradise God so dearly wants to remain as. No more stillness, but infinite, moving, contented, peaceful, heavenly God, able to be as what it created, as a single, living force we call self. If we do not live life with trust, acceptance of what is, we are doing a great injustice to the one that through its own selfish desire installed the greatest gift in us all, to simply be alive. Thank you immensely for the life